An obvious question is why would such a study with the ambition that Danielle has just sketched be launched, and what problem or problems does it think it's trying to address? Our view 18 months ago when we started this was that our constitutional democracy was not in good shape and that there was a civic education, US history education dimension to it, one cause of it. Now we are all pretty convinced that our constitutional democracy is in peril. We've lived in America through many years of polarization, political polarization. The country is very highly divided. We also know from repeated high quality surveys and studies that there's widespread loss of confidence in our very form of government, in the American civic order, loss of legitimacy, loss of confidence. So we must do something to rebuild our civic strength. We can't wait. America, we think, is in this bad place in part because the American education system, not only in schools, but in higher education, has neglected the teaching of civics and of American history. And as a consequence, we now have a citizenry and an electorate that is poorly prepared to understand our form of government and civic life, to appreciate it, and to actually use it to be informed and engaged citizens. What are some of the causes of this neglect? One is lack of, you could go to the next slide, Jen. One is a lack of sufficient investment. That partly means funds, that partly means time and priority. Early in the Cold War, the Sputnik incident led to investment in STEM. So in the interest of national security and competitiveness, massive federal investments were made, they worked. Later in the 1980s, the concern was economic competitiveness in a global economy. Those investments have worked. But Jen, on the next slide, we have some data. A few years ago, the federal government did a brief data check on this. So we spend approximately $50 per student per year of federal money making very valuable investments in STEM fields, while we spend approximately 5 cents per student per year on civics and history education. That's 1,000 to 1 ratio. Another reason we are not set up for excellence in history and civics teaching in schools, and we're well aware that this is a reason, is that scholars and teachers and others have not done the hard work of deliberating with each other to reach a consensus about what and how we should teach. That was a major framework for our study, this team of scholars and others coming together.